Welcome to Buddha's in Your Landfill. I'm moving up a little bit from 9 o'clock to 8:30 because, I get up, I come downstairs after meditation at 6 and I put my ideas bloom up, and then the energy's there. I go, oh God, I got to wait till 9 o'clock. So I'm moving it up a little bit because the energy wants to go ahead and give birth to this thing. And did you see the Oscars last night? And I didn't stay up to see the finish because they really run late, but I saw it this morning. And I did want to, and this kind of like connected some dots with the talk and what's going on in everyday world, which is what I do, which makes it relevant to now. And I've been talking about my story. I hope you pick up and go back and catch up to where we are, because I left off yesterday where I had arrived in Blackstone after the turbulent 70s, and I arrived in Blackstone and found it to be a cemetery for me. Here lies the unknown yogi in the cemetery. I thought that was funny. But then I also wanted to say something this morning. Now the one consistent house or field, or the one consistency in my journey has been my wife. Even though we got divorced in the 70s and then remarried, my whole journey has been made possible because of her unconditional devotion. And this was interesting. When I met her, she was in Longwood, English drama student there, and that year she won 2 Oscars. This was the first time in Longwood's history that somebody had won 2 Oscars, one for drama and one for set building, backstage work. So, and I don't know if anyone else has ever won 2 or not. And then last night, the Oscars, there were 2 Oscars. There's 1 Oscar, but suddenly there were 2. There were two choices, only one was true. So I just thought this was relevant, funny, because it really fits into what I wanted to talk about today. But let me add this. When you listen to these talks, listen to them as I listen to them, which is without comment or opinion or chatter. In other words, just listen, and then after the talk, you can. I hope you would write some. You make some comments or questions, or dig into it a little deeper, or continue the thread of the talk. But during the talk, because this is a spontaneous talk, so spontaneously listen, because the ideas are new. They're new to me, so they should be new to you too. So that you can't digest a new idea unless you are just opening and listening without objection or reference to something which is the way most people listen. Well, I don't think that's correct. I know this and all that. So we're just open here together. So let's take a look at something I thought of. This came up this morning, and I thought it fits into our storyline here, because I want to take this problem of the 2 Oscars, the 2 paths, which is the true path, to really broaden it up into our political landscape. So it's both personal, immediate, in my everyday world, and it's also being acted out in our political national landscape. And that is here we have our little fella who's by the way, that little crack here represents a schizophrenia, which is a divided mind in conflict with each other. And I have some authority on this, because this is my credentials. I don't know if you can see that or not. It says Edwin Conley, licensed schizophrenic, free consultation. I made that card when I was working in Crossroads in the 80s at a clubhouse for schizophrenics. Actually didn't call it schizophrenia, but everybody there was. But anyway, that's another story. So the question here is, there are two imperatives in life that each of us must obey, and we're always struggling with these commandments. A categorical imperative means that you must obey, that it's a compulsion to obey this, but they are in opposition to each other. One imperative is to discover my unique nature, to be special, to be the unique one that has no second, to be number one, to be me. And this is an American imperative, to be an individual that's separate from everyone else. You see, we're very much again, any idea of communism, socialism, or the Chinese or this Asian idea that you just blend into the whole and become a robot, you see, is an anathema to our values. Be an individual, follow your dream, be unique, be number one. Everybody's running around, number one, number one. So that's an imperative that we are called upon to obey, and life wants to obey that. But the opposite imperative is to be the many, to belong to a group, to belong to life, to belong to the world, to be the many. So you have this conflict between the many, and if you belong to the many, you're not unique. You disappear in the many. This is called humility, a service, the heroic act of not taking credit. I'm not special. You see, I'm not special. I'm special. And you can't be both at the same time. How can you be not disappear into the whole, be humble, and stand out as being unique? You see, these are incompatible imperatives. Yet we have to obey them. We have to choose, but we can't choose. You have to obey both commandments. You have to choose, but you can't choose either Oscar. You see what I mean? So there is only one Oscar. Now, which one is it? You see? Choose, or I'll punish you. Choose, or I'll punish you. Which is it? You can't do it. This creates the split. This creates this quote, schizophrenia. In politics, I can see that the right moves towards or leans towards the unique one, the individual, the freedom of the individual, the freedom of business, which is kind of like a person, you see. And so this and it has culminated in Trump. I am the unique one, and if you belong. You see, if you belong to my group, you are the many and the one. So you seal the deal, you do both if you belong to a unique group that is unique, you see. However, the rub comes in because this I am the unique one defines itself by not being you. Or we're unique one. Why are you unique? Because we're not Obama. Or I'm not you, you see. So this creates the split, you see, in the one, when the one divides into I'm the Oscar, and I'm the Oscar because you're not the Oscar. You see? You can't be both. So I'll be the Oscar, but that means you can't be the Oscar. So how do you get to be both? You can't logically, intellectually, conceptually, you can't do it. You see? But you have to do it. This is kind of like the pirate's plank. The metaphor of the pirate's plank where there's a sword behind you and it keeps pushing you out, you see, to the edge and there's nothing there. Or maybe sharks or the unknown, but you you can't step off because the plank is the node. The plank is the two choices that cannot be chosen. So this is a very interesting, this is all about Zen, by the way. My favorite Zen cone is if you say this is an Oscar, you're wrong. If you say this is not an Oscar, you're wrong. Now, which is it? Choose or I'll punish you. You see? It's a double bind. You lose either way. So how do you get out of this lose-lose choice, you see? If you choose this side, you lose that side. If you choose this side, you lose that side. So you can't choose them both, and you can't choose one or the other. And this creates a neurosis. This creates the Buddha calls this suffering. This is the suffering of the commandments that must be obeyed but cannot be obeyed. Christianity gets us caught up in this when the commandment is you must love your God. Well, love is spontaneous. So this is like telling a child, now you try to be spontaneous now. You can't try to be spontaneous because spontaneous means not trying. So we're all constantly caught up in these double binds of games in which there's lose-lose. There's no way out, you see. So we're really interested in trying to understand the game, how the game is played, so we're always losing. And if we can understand dispassionately, if we can understand with discernment, without judgment, if we can see the game that we're caught up in, we arrive at the point where it's called the choiceless choice. We arrive at the point where we create our way out of it. You see, we're being pushed towards creativity, where I create myself. In all of these choices here, I am being created. You see, by external forces, by external norms, by external references, by external conditions. And none of these solve the question of choice. How do I choose when choice fails? The movie Hurt Locker was all about this, if you recall. How do I choose when how do I choose when choice is not possible? See, that is a Zen cone right there. That is the Gordian knot. That's the puzzle that is the nut that we have to crack in order to be free. So it pushes us to the choiceless choice where that requires a little madness. Zorba the Greek said, a man must have a little madness or else he can never cut the rope. So the madness is not logical. These are logical choices here. Logical means it's logical to choose this, but then I end up not choosing that. Or it's logical to choose that, but then I end up by rejecting that, you see. So this, either I go to the left and this, just to fill in a little bit about this, moving it back to the difference between Democrat and Republican, the left leans towards the many. So the left will say, we are, like Sanders, for instance. So, the people, the we are the answer. And so this is, the we are of the left is an inclusive way. We just include more and more people in. And the leaning on the right is towards, I am the unique one. Our group is the unique one. So this is an exclusive way, and it excludes the other who is not part of my group. So, but each is going towards the one, you see, but they're going in different opposite directions. So if you continue in your path, either way, if you go all the way through, if you go all the way past where everyone else has gone, if you go all the way to the root, you come out here. But most people stop here or here and end up at war with the other. So you end up with the left against the right and the right against the left, you see. But to go through, and this is an individual path, you can't go through as a group. You can't get through the eye of the needle if you're rich. You can't get through the eye of the needle if you go in a crowd. You have to go alone. And if you go alone, the two hands will come together in the choiceless choice where you just unable to stand the tension anymore. You just create yourself anew. You give birth to yourself anew. Now you can reference that to God and say, or you're not. It doesn't make any difference. The choiceless choice is not reference to anything. The choiceless choice is not reference to the past or the future. The choiceless choice is a spontaneous birth of yourself as a whole being that knows, I am the world and the world is me. Or you are the world and the world is you. That there is no more separation between you and the world is this moment. So there's no more separation between you and this moment, which is the world. So now you are at home and you are this moment. So now you are totally at home in yourself as you, and you are the moment, and the moment is everything. So that solves the impossible commandment. Create yourself. But you have to be forced to that point, like going off the edge of the fire sword. You have to be forced by the tension and the suffering of this dilemma, you see, or this enigma, or the code. You know, this is all the path of knowledge and the path of seeing directly how this game of mind works, so that we're moved to the point where we take that mad leap like Jake Sully in Avatar and do that insane act and just leap onto the last shadow, which is the unknown. So let that be our Buddha in the landfill for today, and we'll pick up our story tomorrow, maybe a little bit earlier. We'll just see how it goes. Thank you very much.